Hey everybody, welcome to On the Homefront. My name is John Murphy. Very happy to be here with you. We might be live on WILI AM 1400 and 95.3 on the FM. We're also on Fridays on WICH, which covers Norwich and New London. And we're also on the air on WECS, the public radio station at Eastern. And we're also on Public Access TV Channel 192 on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Channel 192 for Spectrum customers. So we're very happy to have you with us. Our program today, we have 3 segments. We're going to close with new music. Something I've been very happy to share with you in recent years has been a whole generation of musicians that toured with major headlining artists. Now they're in semi-retirement. They're still making their own music now. They're not on the road. You're going to know the musicians they used to play with. Now they have their own music they're doing, and we're going to talk to 2 of them today. The Flying Salvias, they're based on the West Coast, but you'll know them by the people they used to play with, and this is some really nice music they just put out this month. We're also going to have another report from Molly Rideout from the Assets for Artists program from Mass MoCA. They have a great program supporting artists, including all of New England, and they have a whole series of programs now for artist training that started this month. We're going to talk to Molly about those. And we're going to open with a look at one of my favorite new art spaces in town. It's called Spiral Art Studio. I've had Daniela de Souza here a few times in the past. She is an artist. She's an educator. She has a studio in town, and this is a growing business, which is part of the Renaissance in downtown Willimantic. So she brings a very nice artistic presence to the area. So, Danny, nice to have you back in the studio.
Thank you, John.
Also with us today is Chris Beaudry. I've had Chris here several times as well. He is a musician. He's a great supporter and promoter of jazz, and he's part of Daniela's event coming up. So, Chris, it's really nice to have you back in the house.
Good to be back in the house, John.
Okay, so we're all set for today. I think we'll start, maybe Danny can tell us what's coming. They're doing a thing of jazz with drawing together, and that would be maybe our starting point, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I have several things that are coming up at Spire Art Studio, our community art studio in Willimantic.
Right.
One of them is Draw That Jazz with Chris. Beaudry Trio, is that how you say it?
We'll do Trio, yeah.
That'll be October 12th from 6 to 9. We'll start off with some instruction, sharing materials and sharing ideas, meeting each other, and then Chris comes on at 7 and plays all the way to 9.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Don't forget about the wine. Tell them about the wine.
It's a BYOB kind of thing, but we always have wine. All materials are provided, and no experience is required. It's a $30 fee, but it's a nice gathering. Really, you don't have to know how to draw. Drawing is hard.
You've done some of these in the past. What's it been like for people to kind of get over the sense of being a little nervous about it after they actually do it? What's it like on the other side when people experiment with this stuff?
Well, there are ways of drawing. You can draw what you see, and you can draw very realistic, but you can also draw just with lines and colors and shapes and just what you feel. So there are plenty of materials, pastels and oils and different things that you can, different approaches that you can take to just listening to the music and enjoying the people, enjoying the vibe, and drawing and doing something different.
Now, Chris, jazz is a really big word. What kind of music are you going to bring, and who's going to be with you that night in terms of the music side of the mix?
Not sure yet, John. To be completely honest, the freelance lifestyle is like we hire each other kind of on the fly.
Sure.
So
we talked about that before, actually.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's it.
I have been working with a few locals, including Earl McDonald at the University of Connecticut. He's the director of jazz studies there.
Excellent.
And then I've had a regular guitarist that I play with frequently, Phil Pallanen, who runs the Stomping Ground jazz series every Thursday, 5:30. Right. He's been doing that for 10 years now. So
I've been had a Terry Paquette up there.
Yeah, I've been playing with him for quite a long time. But actually, hearkening back to what you just mentioned about like being free and not worrying about the product that you output there. I have some photos on my phone, and you can maybe, I don't know if we could show them on the screen there, right? Hold them closer to the mic.
Hold them closer to the mic.
I'll describe them the best I can. But my mother came with her fiance, and they drew, and they're by no means professional artists, but they had a great time because the music, we try to vary it up, different styles, different moods.
Always a little bit of Brazilian.
Always a little bit of Brazilian jazz for Danny. Yeah. But yeah, we try to mix the textures and the music to match, maybe the inspiration of the artists, and the last time we did it, I had 2 great musicians with me, and we actually all took home a work by Noah, and I have it hanging in my foyer now. So
He's the North Wyndham.
He's an art teacher,
an elementary art teacher.
Yeah, and he did some great pieces. I wonder if I have it here, but anyway, yeah. So it's just a lot of fun, and you walk away with something and a good memory too. So
all right,
great
this
music.
is Saturday, October 12th. So jot that one down. You have some other things you want to share today, so go right ahead.
Yes, tomorrow I kick off the Empty Bowls production. This year. The Empty Bowls this year in April was a great success, and we have another one scheduled for
I was
April.
there. The soup was very good, by the way.
Yeah.
It was very good.
April 2025. But the production for the bowls starts right now.
Yep.
My goal is 600 bowls, which is a lot of bowls.
Yeah.
So I would like to invite the community to partake in this production. And so if you go to our website, which is spiralartsstudio.com, there's Empty Bowls workshops, and that's going to be happening every Thursday this month from 5 to 7. The goal is to, all materials are included, and we'll teach you how to make hand-built bowls, and you can make one for yourself and one for the event. There will be
sculpture.
Yes, pottery. And there will be more dates, but this month I was able to fix it for every Thursday of this month. So you can also give us a call at 860-377-5826 if you need more information about that. We also have kids' arts explorations. We just finished one session. We're finishing up one session in a couple of weeks, and there's another one starting November 2nd. That has been fun. There is Try It Nights coming back up as well, and copper enameling, which is something that we only do in the winter, October 26th. Yep, all of that is at spiralartsstudio.com if you need more information.
Yeah, 750 Main Street, just a couple of doors down from where we are here. Now, Chris, you're doing a big thing at Corleone's. Let's mention that too, please, while we have time.
Yeah, the Battle of the Bands is back after a 5-year hiatus due to COVID. I started this when I was running the open mic about 12 years ago, so I have a poster here for the event, but we have all of the posters over the years. I did 3 in my tenure 12 years ago. But
Congratulations on your persistence.
But Ryan Smithwick, the owner of Corleone's, approached me to resurrect the event. We have 6 bands this time around.
Sweet.
And I bought a sound system just for it, actually. So Danny and I have maybe some news down the road for use of that equipment. But in the interim, I'm using it for the Battle of the Bands. 2 bands from Yukon. They're called Tweed Sugar and Ash Baby. Then we have bands coming from as far as an hour away. There's one from the Quiet Corner up in Pomfret Putnam area called Swamp Yankee. They're just super fun, like bar music, get the party started. Arcalide is another one. Let's see if I remember them all. Living Weary is kind of a more metal band, but the split of genres is actually pretty all over the place. There's very contrasting bands, and they're all excellent. And who am I forgetting? Arcalide, Ash Baby. There's one more. Oh, the Rotting 20s is the last one that I forgot there. And they just played a show at Corleone's, actually. A bunch of young, early 20s kids, really passionate about the music. It's just going to be a great time. It's 7 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Okay,
Saturday, October 5th. That's this Saturday. Doors open at 7. We're going to be giving out door prizes. I have Romantic Willimantic T-shirts. We're going to give to the crowd. Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Nice.
Yeah. I should say we're sponsored by T-Swap, co-sponsored by T-Swap. They made the T-shirts for the event. They're going to have a nice presence there and maybe give out some of their own swag too. But thanks to them, Griffin Ryan and Kaio and the team there. So
yeah, that's called T-shirts with a Purpose. They do T-shirt design for fundraising events, so they're trying to help use T-shirts as a mechanism, which is really cool. Well, Danny's here at 750 Main Street throughout the year. It's a studio. How is your teaching going this year? You're also on the faculty at Eastern. What are you doing now as an educator?
I am teaching 3D design at Eastern, and most of my teaching now it's actually at Spiral Arts. I also have other apprentices and assistants teaching classes there, which is very exciting. So there's wire wrapping classes going on, and other jewelries, and other artists coming on for doing workshops. So I see myself becoming more of a facilitator at this, as things grow, and that's fun. Ceramics is coming. I'm going to be teaching ceramics at QVCC at Spiral Arts in the spring, and at Eastern as well, coming up. But yeah, for now, that's how it's going.
And one thing that's really cool about studios is if you don't have the ability to have a studio or a kiln or a fire thing in your home, you become a member and you use some time each month. So can you talk about how some artists, they do their art with you there, and that's their workspace. Perhaps they're living somewhere and they don't have room for it. Who knows what it is? But how does it work for someone to join your studio as a member, and then they can use your wonderful facilities?
Well, it is a community art studio.
Right. How does that work?
And of course, you need to know a little bit about ceramics. So if you have not, if you've always wanted to do it but never had an opportunity, there are classes and workshops for you to come in. But then if you want to continue to do that, and you don't necessarily need direct instruction, then you can sign up as a member. You get space in the back for storage, for ongoing work, and you get the key to the space. So you can go in there at your convenience and use the space, and then myself and my assistants will fire the work. We share glazes, so we do offer some glazes in-house. A lot of people will also buy their own glazes and keep in their spot.
That's right.
And it's a nice community. So we have a nice community of people that like to get together and do creative things. There's all levels, people that just began and people that have been doing it for a few years, all the way to experts. So it's a nice exchange. People learn from each other and inspire each other. The work that you see in the hallways, it's funny because sometimes you see something somebody made and then the other person, I'm going to do that too, but everybody has their own approach.
Oh yeah.
So it goes around and we plan things together. Sometimes we do collaborative work. Marisol, Hannah, Kaylin, Andy just made this beautiful dragon with 3 heads, and they all worked on it together, and I think that's really cool. Things that I used to have to facilitate in classroom are happening organically at the studio, and that for me is really satisfying.
So folks are picking up the ball and doing their own
right,
thing.
Yeah. And when people have the space to be creative and to be themselves, they really flourish, and it's really cool to watch. Yeah.
And there's a hidden story here too, that the Connecticut Office of the Arts has a number of programs that can invest in artists to help them on their path. Sometimes it's a training grant. Sometimes it's a grant for equipment and facilities to help you grow your business. And that's an example that you took advantage of that last year for your new ability to have a larger kiln, right?
Right.
So that was a grant that you got. How did that work for you applying, and how was that process for you as an artist trying to build your business?
Oh, it was great. I mean, we're decked out. We have all the equipment to host all of these workshops and classes, and to allow students, younger people, to come and experiment. We also have the shop in the front, which is something I wanted to talk about, because we have this wonderful shop in the front of things that are made right here in Willimantic from multiple artists and youngsters.
So you mean the storefront windows?
The storefront,
right.
yeah.
Right.
That now for Christmas, there's no better place to come shop for original, locally made gifts. Not just the Spiral Arts. I mean, we have Swift Waters and Bliss and Carey Gallery and Jules Verne and Moulton Court. They often open their studios during Open Artist Studio.
Oh, yeah, they've all been here. It's a real growing community here. And it's all a
Christmas
short
shopping
walk.
in Willimantic is hot.
I bought my mom I think Hannah made it, right? It was a wine stopper with a frog with a spool like the Frog Bridge frog on it, and she loves it. Yeah.
All right. So I want to give you the website to connect to Daniela, spiralartsstudio.com. And Chris, I want to thank you for being here, for all the work you're doing. Okay, the Corleones, the Battle of the Bands is October 5th. And the event with Daniela is October 12th. If you go to the website, you'll find out. And Chris, we'll have you back later in the winter as you figure out other gigs in the area. I know you and Terry Paquette are working on something up in the Northeast. It'd be nice to follow up on that maybe in November.
Cool. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. I wish you a great turnout for your event, okay?
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a short break and come right back and talk about artist trainings from the Assets for Artists program. Don't go away. Okay, we're back here on the Homefront. Really happy to have you with us again. If you'd like to join us for a program to share your story, just use an email, john@humanartsmedia.com, and we'll arrange to have you right here in the studio. We reach all of Eastern Connecticut on those 3 stations, WILI, WICH, and WECS. So it's john@humanartsmedia.com. Well, I'm very happy to share the phone once again with Molly Rideout. She is the Assistant Director of the Assets for Artists program, which is part of Mass MoCA. And she's here maybe every month or month and a half to give you an update to some of the programs they do to support artists and their development all across New England. And right now there's a bunch of online programs that everybody in Connecticut can participate in. And she wanted to use our time today to make sure that you know about this incredible list of events. So get some, get some paper handy, because these programs are really helpful to you at different stages of your development. So, Molly, thanks for being here and for all your good work during the year. Welcome back.
Well, it's a pleasure to be back.
So we're in October now. We're doing this show on October 2nd, and perhaps one thing we can do right away is kind of give people a heads up for the dates, and also perhaps the website where they can sign up if they're interested.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. So we have about 10 workshops coming up, starting, frankly, in about half an hour is when our first workshop kicks off online, going through January. And so they'll be happening sporadically over the next few months, 10 workshops. And you can find information about all of them on our program's website, which is assetsforartists.org. And then do /workshops, and you'll get all the information about all the different workshops, including how to register.
So one of the aspects I see, one that's starting this week, has to do with galleries and museums. Can you talk about some of the aspects where somebody who's new in the arts and they're still figuring the basics, how these workshops can help them save maybe a lot of time by getting some good training that can help them with a more intelligent startup, things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the perfect candidate for workshops like this, whether you have been making work for, a year or 30 years, depending on where you are in your career. If you're feeling like you might have been making work for a while, but you haven't really kind of fully emerged into the professional side of, be it publishing or being in galleries, these are the workshops for you. So, for example, toward the end of this month, we have a workshop called Submitting to Literary Markets and Magazines with Yasmin Amelie. And in this 2 or 3 hour workshop, actually, she goes through the very basics of, if you are a writer and you have short forms of work, be it a short story, a short essay, or a few poems, how to go about finding a place to publish them. For writers, it's typically literary magazines or journals. And so she'll walk you through both, what are the platforms, the technology that these different magazines use. She'll walk you through kind of how to do research on finding a good one that's a match for your type of work, and really kind of answer the questions of how to find exactly the right type of journal for you, and then also acknowledging that, making applications often means you have to get rejected a few times before you can find the proper fit. And so kind of how to handle that and work through that as well. So that's a great example for writers. And then for folks who actually don't feel super confident in writing but know that they have to write about their work. So maybe you're a dancer, maybe you're a visual artist, and you're like, why do I have to write about it? Can't the work stand for itself? We have another workshop that'll be later in November. That one will actually be a 3-part workshop that will be about kind of how to find the words to talk about your work, how to just start from just a simple list of words and build that out into kind of the beginnings of what we would call an artist statement, but then also talking about in what ways would you want to frame this if you're sending an email versus on your website, and just kind of how those different mediums will take things a little differently. And it goes from there. I mean, we've got a workshop coming up in a few weeks about how to kind of create a professional portfolio. You mentioned the one about kind of connecting with galleries and museums. The one that's kicking off tonight is about project management. And the super exciting thing, as you mentioned at the top, was that, you know, when we've talked in the past, there's only been maybe 2 or 3 workshops that are open to folks in Connecticut because of just the ways our partnerships worked previously. But what's most exciting to me is that starting this month, and at least for the next year, and cross your fingers from here on out, all of our online workshops will be open to artists anywhere within the 5 states that we're now serving, which is Connecticut, but also Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and new to us, Maine and Vermont.
Congratulations. The beast is growing. What can I say?
Exactly.
That's a fantastic thing, because the thing that I love about what Molly's talking about is this is how you cross between having a hobby and a vocation that might lead to some work. And this way you learn basics to avoid taking 3 years, which some people will agonize over real nuts and bolts things, not realizing that you don't have to invent the wheel. And these workshops have helped people at the earliest stage. And if you're at the mid-level and you're already in and you're active, but you want to be more efficient, then they have different levels of training depending on your background. I see one here in particular, personal finances and crowdfunding. Now, people hear about crowdfunding. Can you talk about how this might work for somebody in this kind of a space of the arts and development?
Yeah, so this workshop will be happening later in December, so mark your calendars for that. And it's with Laura Christensen, who is a painter who launched and ran a really successful Kickstarter campaign a few years ago for a book project she was doing, where she was inviting different writers to create short stories responding to the paintings that she made, and collected it together in a book. And it raised well beyond what she was aiming for, and she's kind of taken the lessons that she's learned and is passing them on to us, which is fantastic. And, you know, she really peels back the curtain to show us that to do a successful Kickstarter or other crowdfunding campaign, you really have to plan and start early. It's not you just post something online and say, hey, could you give me money, and just hope the cash rolls in. There's a lot of strategy behind it, similar to if you were doing a fundraising event for a local organization. So for artists, this typically means a specific project that they're creating. Maybe it's a product, like with Laura, it was a book that you could, buy. But it might also be you are planning on taking a really important trip for research for something, and you need some extra funds to make that happen. Or maybe you're putting on a dance performance, and there's going to be a lot of extra costs because you're going to be having to hire dancers and a producer and all of these elements, and you just don't have that kind of those funds in your pocket. And so how could you access all of the people who have been your cheerleaders for months or years to have them help you make your vision into a reality? So that's what that workshop will tackle. And it's a really great one. I've attended it a few times, and she really breaks it down for you.
And I've just mentioned 2 other related workshops that you might keep track of. One has to deal with taxes, the IRS, and proper records, and the other one has to do with personal finances, managing your budget, keeping records, and I guess the whole question of trying to be a sole proprietor or a nonprofit, and how do you take care of the business aspects and keep good records either way. And learning those basics can be very confusing at first, but then when you figure it out, it works very well. And I'm sure you've heard people struggling with how to manage the money, even with all the best intentions. They can still get lost.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
we know artists who are winning huge awards, but then when they peel back the curtain, you see that they are broke and not sure how to be kind of managing the money that's coming in and when to have it come out, because sometimes you just get a big grant and that's got to last you several years, and how are you going to plan for that? And so, yeah, that personal finances workshop is really tackling kind of not so much the business element specifically, but how that business element interplays with, you needing to pay the bills in your own life. And the
Right.
reality is that being an artist doesn't mean you get a paycheck at the same time every week.
If only. Maybe one last thing I'd want to mention too, because it's very emotional one, is when you talk about authenticity. What is it that makes you authentic in someone else's eyes, and how do you set yourself up for those kinds of judgments when you're trying to compete with everybody who's trying to do the same kinds of things? Can you talk about a workshop, staying authentic while marketing your work?
Yeah,
That's in
absolutely.
November.
This workshop, that's coming up in the middle of November, and
Right.
it's with Daniel Callahan, who's a really fantastic performing artist and visual artist out of the Boston area. And Daniel will be the first to tell you that he hates marketing. He feels really gross while having to market the work that he's doing. He feels kind of like he's kind of having to put himself out there in a way that he doesn't feel comfortable about. And he really kind of took this to heart and, thought about, okay, why am I marketing my work, and how can I be true to the work that I'm talking about and put it out there without that icky marketer feeling that we've kind of been taught. And so what he really tackles is how to kind of move through that and talk human to human to people to get your word out. And so he's less interested in, how to game the algorithms online, things like that. That we do have workshops that tackle those kinds of things. He's a lot more interested in how do you talk from the heart to other humans about the work that you're doing and why you care about it so much, in hopes that they'll care about it too when you really speak to that depth of your passion.
It's a really nice way to bring it up, and you can keep money in its place, and it doesn't dominate or define everything. It's just a tool, and your relationship is more than a transaction. Thank you for the grant and walk away. It's a relationship over time that stays.
Yeah, and same with your viewers or your readers, or your collectors. That's a relationship.
Right. Well, Molly, I want to thank you very much for joining us again. Every 5 or so weeks, 6 weeks, we have Molly Rideout join us. She's the Assistant Director of the Assets for Artists program in Mass MoCA. AssetsForArtists.org is the website. Is there anything we missed, Molly, that you wanted to mention while we have a minute left? I want to make sure to hit the base for you.
Yeah, well, I just want to remind everyone that all of the workshops that you'll find on our website are open to artists across Connecticut. So
Right.
Spread the word with your friends. And the one thing I will say is, because of this new model we're doing where workshops are open more broadly, they are filling up a little faster.
Oh.
So if you see a workshop that you want to attend, register as soon as you can, because there's actually a couple of them that are already closed because we've hit capacity on them.
Right.
And I will say, even though they're online workshops, you're like, how can they hit capacity? It's because we like to keep as much of a kind of true classroom feeling to a workshop, so folks are talking with each other and it's not just you listening in on a Zoom.
Yeah, it's more personal. Yeah.
Exactly. But don't worry, we will be offering workshops again, later in the spring and continuing forward. So hopefully the workshop, if you don't sign up in time, we'll offer it again soon.
Right. Well, the list that Molly was talking about goes right into January. And if you go to the website now, AssetsForArtists.org, you can plan ahead to make the most. So once again, Molly, thanks for all the good work you're doing throughout the year, and we'll look forward to having you back a little closer to wintertime.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, we're back live on the radio here again, off the phone for the moment. I'm really happy recently I've had a chance to talk to musicians who have had a lifetime of service in the industry. They've been in major bands. You may not know them necessarily as the lead singer or the lead performer, but they are incredible musicians. They're now making a lot of their own music these days, and the music is incredible. They have their studios, they do wonderful work, and we have the Flying Salvias have recently put out 2 new releases, and they're wonderful. They are based in California. One of them is called Henry's Hideaway, which is kind of a jazz trio, lounge lizard thing, but it's a real emotional story of a relationship, Henry's Hideaway. So that's one CD that's out. And also they have another one, kind of an Americana. It's called Amerikinda, and it's kind of a country-influenced Americana record with some incredible playing on it. And this is Kathleen and Henry Salvia, the Flying Salvias. We're going to hear a track, so you get a little taste of their music, and then they're going to join us on the phone. And we'll continue this series once in a while. So this track is the title, in fact. It's Henry's Hideaway. Here's a taste. Enjoy, and then we'll come right back.
I'm feeling very blue without even thinking of you. Trying to keep the dark thoughts from gaining ground. If neon was a sound, I'd hear it today. Think I'll go round to Henry's Hideaway. Yes, my dear, the mission is clear. Don't let the bad guys win. Evil eyes ain't getting into this little party. Gentlemen, remove their hats. The ladies are all pretty, and everybody loves everybody at Henry's Hideaway. Yes, everybody loves everybody at Henry's Hideaway. Straight or queer, standing up or sitting down, it's all the same thing here. Invigorating, conversating, witty repartee, and everybody loves everybody at Henry's Hideaway. Yes, everybody loves everybody at Henry's Hideaway. At the center of it all stands the man, he's very tall, a prestidigitational master. The band plays even faster, dancing us like puppets, except without the strings. sits back and takes a break from meeting sins, and he pours a gin. Then Henry hides away.
Yeah. All righty. Hope you enjoyed that track. That was the title from Henry's Hideaway. Some really nice writing and music from the Flying Salvias. And they have issued 2 releases this month. It's very nice to have the energy to do 2, not just 1. So I'm holding up here. I'm holding this closer to the microphone so you can see it better. Flying Salvias. Henry's Hideaway, a very nice place to hang, by the way. All the songs on this have such a nice psychology of like a relationship space, kind of a jazz trio thing. And then there's a real nice Americana country thing, Amerikinda. And that's another one, a very different sound. So first of all, I want to welcome you two together. Kathleen and Henry, welcome to the radio in Eastern Connecticut.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. We're looking at you on our computer right now, but we don't want to play your show because it'll mess up everything, right?
That's right. We'll have the echo reverb from hell forever.
Yes.
It'd be one of those things like Orson Welles with a lady from Shanghai with the mirrors. So let me congratulate you two on the writing too. You've been in the music for so many years. One thing that I've enjoyed in the last year or so is talking to some players who've been at it for decades. They're making their own music now. They're not on the road as much. They're not a major player in someone else's band. So they're really going into their own hearts and their own songs. What's it like for you folks to create this stuff and use the internet to reach people today with new music that connects to your traditions, your roots?
Well, for me, it's just great to get it out there and to get it out of my body and into a recording and then into the ether where people can hear it. The whole marketing thing has changed because there didn't used to be an internet when we started out. But things are good, and now we're talking to you, and I'm pretty happy. So that's what it's like for me.
Well, for me, it's kind of different, but not really. You're always looking to get in front of an audience and connect with them, one way or another. You know, and this is just a different way of connecting. But the process is the same.
Now, when you're looking at the internet, it's a way to connect to people apart from having to tour. And I just wondered what your thoughts are over streaming today. I've had so many artists on the radio that are really feeling, I don't want to say ripped off, but let's just say ripped off by streaming and the low rates. You have to have so many plays to even think about making a living. And from the people that you work with as well, other players that are trying to keep alive, enjoying music, make a living with it, but you have to get so many streaming events. So how does that work for you guys?
Well, for us, I mean, we're kind of in that boat. The short answer is meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah, that's true.
Streaming, a hobby of mine is reading up on the history of the music industry in the last 100 years or so. Streaming was always the dream of the record companies. The idea that you could charge somebody a penny to listen to a song instead of charging them, $5, $10, $15 to buy a copy of it. And they've really run with, once the internet made that feasible, they've run with it. And so you get what we have today, which is there are 3 major record labels. And the artists that record for those labels are the artists that collect most of the performance money out of streaming. The labels, in turn, collect a huge chunk of it. So you need that marketing leverage in order to be able to talk to the audience. We do it like everybody else. We put our stuff up on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever, but how does somebody find us?
Right.
That's a challenge, and you can do it on your own. You can hire guys to help you game the algorithm, or you can go on the road and get in front of people and try to connect with them that way. Most people who aren't at the top, if they're working at being a musician, they're on the road a lot.
That's true.
Because that's how you make a living.
Yep, and that's how you sell music too. That's how
exactly.
Because
that's
the retail has disappeared, right? The retail space, it's a social space that's kind of lost to us now, and that's a sad thing, I think, in terms of people getting together.
Yeah, it is. I mean, a lot of that's kind of nostalgia because we grew up with it.
But vinyl's coming back.
Yeah, there's a wave right now. I'm not sure how long it'll last, but there is an uptick now, and there are people that are actually hearing analog, and they can hear the difference if they pay attention. You can tell. It's a real thing. So let's get into your music, though, because I just played the title from Henry's Hideaway. When you put that together as a jazz-influenced trio thing, what were you tapping into? Because all the songs had some aspect of a relationship, proactive, reactive, non-active, but there's a lot of humor in it as well, and some really deep observations that are just also toss-off lines, but wow, did it hit me when I thought about it the second time. Is that part of the fun for you? Is that part of the, in terms of the writing? Do you share the writing, or does one of you do more of the wordsmith?
Well, Kathleen is pretty much the wordsmith. I may occasionally contribute a phrase at most. But she does the bulk of the writing. I'm more of an arranger.
Right.
For example, Henry's Hideaway.
Yeah.
She wrote the lyrics and the melody. I basically wrote the bass line and told her that she'd written a samba, whatever it is.
Right.
A bossa nova, a samba.
Right.
And arranged it that way. But it's her song.
It's a lovely place.
What was I thinking?
Yeah, what were you thinking?
I was thinking, I was writing some other things at the same time. I had my head around old-timey times before some of us were even born.
Right.
And I was thinking nightclubs, and then I had it all mixed up. I had it in my head that Henry's Hideaway was actually located on the Embarcadero, the old-time Embarcadero, San Francisco, when it was still a port, and there were lots of bars.
Yeah.
And it kind of separated itself from that, but into another song about the Embarcadero. But I just wanted a place that everybody loved each other. I'm so tired of the bifurcation of our country, and polarization, I guess, would be a better word. And so I just needed to make a safe place for people to go. And then what else got involved? Well, Ricky Ricardo and Copacabana, they started playing in my head, and it just turned into what it became.
I could hear Lucy and Ricky in the background in some of the things. All the Money, Almost Hear Your Voice, Curious Bling. The titles are very, very nice about the whole idea of a relationship and how people relate. And then in the same month or so, you're also dropping this huge Americana thing. What made you decide to do both at one time and not spread them out more? What was the drive for you to do them both? That's a lot. Congratulations on pulling it off, by the way. It's a lot.
Thanks. Well, it took 3 years. We were just recording everything that we had written and continued to write over this period of time.
Right.
And it was all about recording for us, and then we were done. And actually, the very last song on Henry's Hideaway, that one we finished writing in the studio, and that was it. I was like, we're done now. And then we've had all these songs, and they didn't all go together, and they still don't all go together. But they separated out pretty well into the Henry's Hideaway feeling of old timey nightclub,
Right.
and Amerikinda, which is kinda Americana, I guess.
Well, there's a big audience for this kind of music out here in Eastern Connecticut. A lot of people, country blues, there's a whole community. It's very active. If you guys can ever get on the East Coast, I know you're based out in the West Coast, but I always talk to folks that there's a real community out here that enjoys live music. They have their own locals, but having people come through tied to the same tradition is always a treat. So if you ever get a chance, please do let us know.
Let's go there.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip. That's very intriguing.
So
I've been out to the East Coast a few times,
yeah.
and I really enjoyed it. Great audiences.
It's all for me through Dennis McNally. He sent me to so many great musicians that have been great records, and they're all, well, not all of them, but a lot of them are in the East Coast or they're also in the South. But if they come up East, there's a network waiting. It's just a matter of the logistics of touring. And I want to let people know some websites if you want to hear more from Kathleen and Henry. It's Flying Salvias, Salvias, flyingsalvias.com. And the record label they have is Polywana, Polywana, Polywana Records, as opposed to Polywana Cracker, probably. I get that one.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got the joke.
It was short for Polywana Record Deal.
There it is. There it is. I'm just happy to share the payola with you. No problem at all. It's okay.
That's in the middle.
Yeah. But I wish you well in the coming year. I'm very happy to have you. And if you get some more music, keep us posted. We'll be playing these songs on the radio show here and there. Wish you good health and a good year ahead. And thanks for sharing some time today.
Oh, thank you, John. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. We'll tell Dennis you said hi.
Please do. Give him my best. You take care.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye. So that's Kathleen and Henry Salvia. Really nice music. Amerikinda and Henry's Hideaway. And our time is up now. Thank you very much for taking some time to join me on the radio or YouTube. John Murphy here for On the Homefront. We'll see you next week. If you want to get involved here, be a guest, share your story, John@humanartsmedia.com. Take care.